Welcome back to Startup Dugout by Dell Technologies, a podcast series where we talk to entrepreneurs from India's biggest tech startups to go back to that time when. That time when you needed allies, that time when you needed sound advice and good mentors, that time when you were looking for the right tech partners who can accelerate growth. I'm your host, Suchita Salwan, founder and CEO of Little Black Book or LBB. What started as my humble Tumblr blog is today one of India's largest online discovery platforms with an objective to seek out, empower and scale India's lifestyle businesses. On Startup Dugout by Dell Technologies, we discover how industry leaders respond to challenges in their entrepreneurial journeys. We also learn how initiatives like Dell for Startups empowers companies through innovative technology, strategic guidance, proven practical capabilities and expert consulting assistance. In this episode, I am in conversation with Reeju Datta, the co-founder of Cashfree Payments, India's leading fintech and API banking company. Since its inception in 2015, Cashfree has been the go-to solution for Indian businesses, as it seamlessly manages transactions and distributions through various channels, from bank accounts in UPI to IMPS, NEFT, cards and native wallets, all integrated effortlessly. With over 55,000 businesses benefiting from their services, I asked Reeju about Cashfree's standout products, the dynamic landscape of digital payments in India, and the Eureka moment that transformed it into a powerhouse for bulk outbound payments. So Reeju, before starting Cashfree, you and Akash experimented with different ideas such as building a social network for workplaces and running a portal that would match entrance exam scores with qualifying institutions. Could you tell us how you ended up starting a fintech company of all things?
Yeah, so I think those ones were, the ones you mentioned were Akash's college projects in particular. I think I on my own was looking at a few other ideas around real estate and logistics. And while exploring those, I think I was looking for a co-founder, right? And one of my college friends was staying with Akash and working with him. So, and then we got talking. So that's how we kind of got onto the same team, right? And then we bounced off a few ideas. And not fintech in particular because it was not really as buzzing and hot back then. So payments, I think, is what we decided upon. I think logistics and payments were the two on the table. And it was a problem that we had faced. Both of us had faced. And there was a problem that a lot of the orders at that point of time were cash on delivery. Right, so I think at that point 70-80% orders were cash on delivery, and there was no UPI back at that time. So that's why I think we took the plunge. It was pretty naive at that point. We realized very soon after quitting the jobs that okay, this we are already there, but this might need some pivoting and tinkering with. But what we started off with was like a delivery boy comes to your place and he has an NFC phone, the user has an NFC phone, and you both tap your phones and the payment happens. So that's probably ahead of its time even today. But back in 2015, it was definitely pretty ahead of its time. So that was the idea. Not fintech in particular, but it just happened.
That's awesome. So Cashfree initially started as a solution for digitizing cash on delivery for e-commerce companies before it had its Eureka moment, and then ended up being a technology platform for bulk outbound payments for merchants. Could you elaborate on how your experience with Cashfree and also understanding of both customers as well as merchants has evolved over a period of time?
Yeah, as I said, pretty soon we found out that just cash on delivery, was probably not very easy to scale. We started with targeting night delivery restaurants, right, which in Bangalore, and where you had this problem of cash on delivery late at night and people didn't have cash. So what started happening is those people started asking us, to power the payments for their own websites. They had their own websites, and that's how we realized that there was a need to, help businesses, small, medium, and later on even large businesses, accept payments. It was not a solved problem, right? So I think something that is easy to integrate, has all the available payment modes, is reliable, good support, right? So that was the premise. I think businesses started asking us, and then we just built and went with the flow. and we kept growing, right? And as we grew, I think then there was this moment where we felt that there are a lot of new startups coming up. They had the need to not only collect money, they also had the need to send money out at scale in an automated manner, right? Let's say you have an Uber driver who wants to withdraw the wages that they receive at the end of the day with the click of a button on their Uber app, right? So how do you do that, right? So those kind of use cases were also coming up, new startups, new business models that has just exploded today, right? So yeah, we thought a payments company should be solving those, and the product evolved. So we did collections, we did added disbursements, right? Then recurring payments, faster refunds, right? So whatever problem a payments problem an internet business has or might be facing is kind of what we try to do, right? And yeah, that's how the product has evolved.
Any interesting, anecdotes that you can share about how your pivots have been, or how even moments of, hey, this could really help take my business up many notches? If there's any interesting anecdotes, that would be awesome to get from you.
Yeah, I think most of the time it was like slow and steady in the right direction, what felt like the right direction. Eureka moments, few were there, like maybe a few bank conversations where, let's say, we got onboarded with a big bank, or we realized that the banks had this kind of a new offering which was an API, right, at that point of time, and we realized that this is a big deal, right? Banks offering APIs would make payments automated and make bulk payments possible. So maybe that was one Eureka moment, just realizing that banks had that, then talking to the banks and and them agreeing to work with us on that model. Getting funded, I think the first investment that we raised was in the US from a seed fund called Y Combinator. I think that was, I would say, pretty, because that happened suddenly, right? Like you give a 10-minute interview and then they tell you a while after that, whether you made it or not. So yeah, so that I think was a step jump suddenly, right? But most of it has been like slow and steady, in the right direction.
So what, according to you, are the key challenges and opportunities in the Indian digital payments landscape, and how do you think Cashfree is addressing this?
Yeah, so I think obvious is, I think, UPI, like, which has kind of created or kind of established this platform for the entire digital economy to grow. So I think how you can leverage UPI as a platform and build solutions on top of it, around it, I think becomes an opportunity, right? So for us as Cashfree, we try to ensure that businesses are able to leverage UPI to the fullest. It could mean the best possible or the simplest possible integration for UPI that suits your format. Your format could be web, mobile could have various programming languages and frameworks, right? So it's the easiest integration for UPI, which gives you the best conversions, highest success rates, right, which boosts your growth, right? So that is there, and UPI for your business model could be recurring payments, could be one-time mandates, faster refunds, right? So there are businesses which have very high cancellation rates, high refund rates, right? So their refunds and one-time mandates become very important. So yeah, so how are you kind of making UPI, giving the power of UPI to businesses, right? Because that has been a game changer, I think. So that's where Cashfree comes in, right? And we've seen UPI grow a lot as a payment method from zero to infinity, right? Like it's just been growing, and we've been a part of that journey. So that is one, and I think as I said before, right, enabling businesses to execute new business models at scale, right, beyond payments. I think compliance regulations, being so there are products that we offer, right, verification of users that you onboard, right, just as hygiene and then as regulatory compliance as well. So that is something that's a big opportunity, right? And I think making transactions, bulk transactions, faster, easier to integrate again, right, more reliable, for businesses that have to process payments at very high volume, right? There are businesses like that in India as well. So yeah, I think that's the direction, I think.
And how would you say Dell has helped you through this process of, scaling and evolving your business?
Yeah, I think it's a core part of we do at Cashfree. I think a lot of the workforce is equipped with Dell laptops. I think personally, Dell was my college laptop, so I have a lot of my initiation to the internet and learning, which happened in college. Was a Dell Inspiron laptop.
That's awesome, and that's a great little tidbit to know about your experience with Dell. It's amazing to know how Cashfree Payments uses technology to help businesses accept payments and make payouts seamlessly, and how Dell has been a part of this incredible journey. Now, apart from offering trustworthy digital solutions, Dell for Startups helps companies reach their goals and defines new routes for their success. They help startups in India to accelerate their digital journey and solve some of the biggest challenges in the country, keeping Dell's core purpose in the forefront, creating technologies that drive human progress. Cashfree offers a range of payment solutions. What would you say are some of your standout products and services that have had a significant impact on businesses and consumers?
Yeah, I think we've seen recurring payments for UPI. I think has kind of started growing a lot of late, right? Especially in entities that have recurring payment use cases like content, OTT. Lenders especially, I think the product has evolved and we're seeing a massive pull in among financial services companies, regulated entities in lending investments, which are actually using UPI autopay, which is the recurring payment tool. So recurring payments has traditionally not been very big in India, but now we see that changing now. I think subscription models, are much easier to operate right now. Because of this, so that's a good change that we are seeing. We have helped a lot of e-commerce companies process refunds much faster, because what we discovered is refunds is the single largest source of customer grievances, disputes, queries for an e-commerce company. So we help e-commerce companies specifically process the refunds instantly. We have this product called Cashgram, where you send a link over WhatsApp, right, and the user just enters their bank details and receives the refund instantly, right? And it was good. I think my parents also used it recently and they shared the screenshot, so that was also good to know.
Your business has hit success metrics when your parents give it its blessings. That's a really sweet anecdote that you put in there. So just switching gears, the pandemic obviously has led businesses to rethink their entire payment management processes, and Cashfree said it saw 150% increase in number of total active and transacting merchants on its platform through the pandemic. How do you think COVID has affected the broader digital payments industry in India, apart from the obvious one which you mentioned earlier, was just the uptake in UPI as a mode of transactions?
Yeah, so I think the 150% is not just us. I mean the entire industry. And again, I would go back to UPI. Like I think UPI would have also grown by similar numbers. Right. And I think COVID was one reason. I think the process started maybe 5-6 years earlier with demonetization. Then you had GST, the entire formalization of the economy. So you had and then you had, I think, Aadhaar. So these all like building blocks were in place, and UPI, of course, these 3-4 things were already in place. So when something like COVID happened, I think it was businesses were able to migrate quickly, right? So it was demonetization, GST, the Aadhaar, and the digital KYC infra, UPI, and then COVID, came, and that's what explains maybe the stupendous growth.
Yeah.
And we saw I think businesses from smaller towns, smaller businesses, come onto the platform very rapidly. I think so. That's what probably drove the growth during COVID phase.
So related to that, Cashfree, I'm sure, has observed growth in adoption of digital payments, specifically from tier 2 to tier 3 cities as compared to just your pure play metros, right? Can you give us specific examples of unique challenges and success stories of businesses that you've encountered while expanding your services to smaller cities?
Yeah, I think success stories would be, I think, families or people from smaller towns who would not traditionally be digital entrepreneurs, because we associate computers or internet typically with like larger cities maybe traditionally. But I think we've seen the Jogadu Indian entrepreneur being able to set up businesses and offer their services to the rest of the country and even internationally, right? We offer international payments and help them sell globally. So I think there are a lot of stories of such people from small towns. It could be an innovative product, like a homemade pickle, furniture I can think of, right? That comes to mind immediately. Crafts. So a lot of innovative products. So whatever innovation people are doing, they're able to sell online, and that's very heartening to know. And then there are the other kinds of business models. Someone is teaching, right? Selling their skills, organizing an event, right? So anything you want to do, and if you want to collect payments, I think it's just made doing business easier. So I think we see a lot of those stories. I think maybe 60% still remains the top 3 cities: Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. But I think we have seen a lot of merchants or businesses signing up from the smaller towns across the country.
So, looking ahead to the future, what do you foresee as possible revolutions or significant changes in the financial environment, and how do you feel Cashfree is poised to really adapt and innovate with respect to these situations?
Yeah. So I think payments will look very differently in next 5 to 7 years than what they maybe look today. I think one of the more visible changes we can see in the offline, or the face-to-face payments space, right? You're seeing tap and pay kind of coming in. It's been there for cards, very recently launched for UPI. Right, so that is one thing that would probably be very visible, from swiping your card to maybe tapping your phone, right? So I think that's something that's interesting to watch. So a lot of things, like it's a generation shift that will happen. Online, I think maybe cross-border, there is a lot of scope. I think still how to make cross-border payments cheaper, faster, easy for businesses to comply with. I think there could be some regulations also that are coming around the corner, to kind of facilitate that. I think these are 2 things that come on top of the mind. Very exciting to see where UPI goes also. I think we can expect more innovations on top of UPI, how transactions are authenticated. That is there. Yes, I think these are some of the things I can think of.
And how do you feel Cashfree, like what can we expect from Cashfree next? So what are the more interesting projects you're working on, if you can give us a sneak peek?
Yeah, I think the idea is to help online businesses process payments in a easy to integrate and reliable manner. I think we kind of will move towards that. Specifically for e-commerce businesses, I think we acquired a company recently, and I think that helps e-commerce companies boost their conversions. Right, I think beyond that, I think as I mentioned, offline payments is something we've launched our soft POS recently. We've piloted with quite a lot of merchant, and I think that's something that we're going to grow in the specific use cases where we are seeing a pull. I think financial services entities, right, which are regulated and they have specific needs. So we work with a lot of NBFCs which kind of have specific payment needs. For instance, we have the digital lending guidelines that came out recently. So we kind of launched a specific products for all lenders to comply with the digital lending guidelines. So we are seeing a huge amount of new age lenders sign up there. So yeah, so I think e-commerce, financial services, lenders, offline payments, right? These are 3 or 4 areas I think where we're seeing good growth.
We're very, very, very excited for you. Last question from me, as a fellow founder, what's the one piece of advice that you'd give to someone wanting to start up in the fintech or SMB, problem solution space?
I think don't wait for it. I think do startup. I think right. I think easy to wait for the perfect time, but I think we started off with a very idea that seems stupid today, but yeah, I think we figured along the way. So I think with time, I think a lot of learning comes in, and it becomes easier as it's the hardest on day one, and it usually gets easier as you move along. So yeah, I think that's how it is.
Lovely. On that note, thank you so much for joining us today, Reeju. We really, really appreciate you taking out the time, and all the very best for Cashfree.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. A big thank you to Reeju Datta, the co-founder of Cashfree Payments, for joining us on Startup Dugout by Dell Technologies. If you're an entrepreneur that's forging your path with your dreams, Dell for Startups can help you in your digital journey and transformation.